Well, good Friday morning to you. Thanks for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. Let's get to your headlines today. Happening right now in Bloomington, investigators are trying to figure out what sparked this massive fire at an office building that was under construction. The fire chief tells us no one was hurt and there's no actual damage to the building as flames were contained just to the roof. This is what our cameras captured when our crews arrived on scene right before 7 this morning. You could see smoke billowing from a sick building roof spreading over 494. The fire chief says it started shortly after 6 a.m. Construction crews on site say that is right when their shifts started. By 7:15, the fire was contained, so it took about an hour. And the chief says the biggest challenge was getting water up several stories.
What they're doing right now is overhaul the roofing material that was on fire. So the fire was pretty much contained to just roofing material. The structure itself isn't burning, just the roof was on fire. The roof itself is actually concrete, so there's no extension to the actual structure.
Investigators are on the roof now trying to determine the cause. The next course of action is to scrape out the burned roof materials and make some repairs. Well, look from our nation's capital this morning, where today lawmakers must push through some sort of funding bill. Otherwise, the government shuts down at midnight tonight. And it all comes as key Senate Democrat shifts his position on short-term bill to keep the government open. And as two major court rulings push back on President Trump's downsizing of the federal government. NBC's Alice Barr is in Washington with the very latest.
Hi there. We're tracking a number of developments today, several in the courtroom, including a federal judge in California directing a handful of federal agencies to reinstate fired probationary workers, though that pales in comparison to an even bigger ruling out of Maryland. In a sweeping ruling overnight, a federal judge in Maryland ordered thousands of fired federal workers across 21 agencies and departments be temporarily reinstated, finding the mass firings were unlawful and not based on employee assessments, writing that when firing someone for unsatisfactory performance, quote, the employer must honestly be dissatisfied with the probationer's conduct or performance after giving him a fair trial on the job. It's the latest instance of the courts checking the Trump administration as Democrats in Congress struggle for a strategy. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer now saying he will support House Republicans' short-term funding bill to prevent a government shutdown.
The alternative is worse.
The bill needs support from Democrats to pass, and Leader Schumer previously said the votes weren't there, now saying he believes the Trump administration wants a shutdown.
They could cut half the government. They could tell employees you're not essential and never bring them back. That's the problem. There is no check on them with a shutdown.
Others arguing it's time to take a stand against cuts already tearing through the government.
You're not going to throw 83,000 workers off the Veterans Administration. You're not going to cut the Social Security staff.
All amid stock market volatility and recession fears as the Trump trade war keeps growing. President Trump threatening new 200% tariffs on European wine and spirits if the European Union doesn't drop its new levies that include American whiskey.
We're not going to be ripped off anymore.
Meetings with foreign leaders in the U.S. and Canada so far not yielding a step back from the brink. Again, that government shutdown deadline is midnight tonight. Separately, the Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to weigh in on the president's plan to end automatic birthright citizenship. Lower courts have said that move by the president is unconstitutional. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Happening today, Governor Tim Walz will hit the road for a town hall in Iowa. He's planning to hit GOP districts where members of Congress aren't doing events. The first event's going to be in the Des Moines suburbs in a district held by Republican Representative Zach Nunn. The second event tomorrow is in Representative Don Bacon's district in Omaha. Walz suggested last week he might do this after GOP leadership told their members of Congress to stop doing events because there had been so many protesters questioning the Trump administration's policies. George Washington University political expert Todd Belt told us that Walz's town hall strategy is a notable shift for Democrats.
They see a real opportunity here with what's going on in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of resentment. People are losing a lot of their benefits. People are losing jobs, and they don't think that this is exactly what they voted for. This is an opportunity to create a wedge in that Republican vote.
But Republicans are calling out the governor. Nebraska Representative Don Bacon slammed Walz as the most, quote, liberal governor in America coming to his district. And then here in Minnesota, House Republican Majority Leader Harry Niska ripped Walz for leaving the state while the historically divided legislature is in session. In a matter of hours, high-profile Feeding Our Future federal fraud trial will be entering what could be the final day of testimony. It comes after a contentious day on the stand for the alleged mastermind of the whole scheme, former executive director Amy Bach. Bach admitted millions of dollars of fraud happened within Feeding Our Future, but she claimed that she took no part in it. Bach also testified the meal sites that reported they were serving up to 6,000 meals every day did not raise red flags with her. The prosecutor showed the jury that when Bach submitted the meal claims to the state, she certified the meal counts were verified to be true. Bach testified she trusted her staff had verified the numbers. The judge told both sides he wants closing arguments to start on Monday. Happening this morning, protests at the U of M over a controversial proposal the Board of Regents is voting on today that some staff members there say could limit free speech on campus. The proposal would prevent the U from making public statements on societal issues unless the university president says it affects the school's mission. It also says people who work there can share their own opinions, but they must say they are not speaking for the whole school. In an op-ed for the Star Tribune, one professor against the proposal points to all the ways the university shares important research and stances over the years on topics like COVID vaccines and climate change. He thinks the resolution will stop important information from being shared. Well, today, U of M Athletic Director Mark Coyle is going to be taking questions from reporters about the decision to fire the head of the men's basketball team, the coach Ben Johnson, after just 4 seasons with the team. Coyle says the expectation is to compete for championships, but a big question is if he's giving the program the best chance to do just that. ESPN senior college basketball reporter Myron Medcalf told KARE 11's Joe McCoy he feels the university has not invested enough resources and NIL money into the program to give it a chance to be successful. He also thinks a new stadium and facilities could be a good way to jumpstart enthusiasm and interest for new recruits.
No kid's going to walk into the barn, a 100-year-old arena, and go, wow, I want to play there. Not an elite talent, because you have to go see the other arenas around the country. They're incredible.
Yeah, it might work. The Gophers haven't reached the Final Four since 1997, and the last time they even made it to March Madness was in 2019. Well, take a look at your screen right now. This was the scene 6 months ago when an alleged drunk driver drove his vehicle into the Park Tavern patio in St. Louis Park, killing 2 people there and injuring 9 others. Today, Minnesota lawmakers are announcing a new push to rethink drunk driving laws in Minnesota. And when lawmakers gather at 12:30, there's going to be a big focus on repeat drunk drivers. It's a direct tie back to the deadly crash that happened at the tavern back in September. Court records show the suspect had 5 prior drunk driving convictions. This bill allows authorities to look 20 years back in your record for your past drunk driving incidents when determining your license suspension. Right now, that window is 10 years. The bill also modifies how long a repeat offender has to drive with ignition interlock. Plus, all ignition interlock users will be required to complete a rehab program before they get their license back. This bill was introduced in committee this past Monday, and right now it's scheduled to be heard this coming Monday at 1 o'clock. Well, some breaking news overnight. An American Airlines plane catching fire upon landing at a Denver International Airport forced dozens on board to evacuate through the aircraft's wing. NBC's Steve Patterson has the very latest.
A terrifying scene on a smoke-covered tarmac at Denver International Airport.
Oh my God!
Dozens of passengers seen evacuating from the wing of an American Airlines plane on Thursday after one of the aircraft's engines caught fire while taxiing to the gate.
We have an alert 2 at the airport.
Ground crews scrambling to the scene, putting up ladders, while slides were also used to escort people down, according to the airport.
Oh my gosh, they're emergency evacuating. They're running out.
The Dallas-bound flight, a Boeing 737-800 aircraft, departed from Colorado Springs just before 5 p.m. But within 20 minutes, it diverted to Denver after FAA officials say the crew had reported engine vibrations. The plane landed before 6 p.m., spending about an hour total up in the air. 172 passengers and 6 crew members were on board at the time. American Airlines stating all were safely deplaned and relocated to the terminal, while 12 people were transported to a local hospital with minor injuries, according to the Denver Fire Department. Travelers waiting inside at a nearby gate, watching the scene unfold.
But our flight's going to be fine. Yeah.
While one social media user posted, "My mom was on this flight. Thank you, God, that they are alive." This heart-stopping ordeal, the latest in a string of recent airline incidents.
Oh, no.
From a crash landing upside down in Toronto last month.
Drop it. Come on.
To the deadliest U.S. air disaster in over 2 decades, when an American Airlines commercial plane collided with an Army helicopter over the Potomac River in January, killing 67 people. Now, as relief settles in after this close call, American Airlines thanking its crew members and first responders for their quick and decisive action with the safety of everyone on board and on the ground as the priority.
We got up really early this morning or stayed up really late. You probably saw this across the U.S. getting a show in the skies last night. The blood moon is when the full moon appears a dark red color, turning into a total lunar eclipse. Depending on the weather, most of the world could see the space phenomenon last night. We had a pretty clear picture of it this morning driving into work. Pretty cool. And take a look at this video of fresh snow blanketing California's high Sierra Mountains. This same storm system is pushing its way towards us, which is why our weather team has declared a KARE 11 weather impact alert for tonight. John's coming up next with a closer look at the storm and when it will impact you. Stick around, more news and weather's coming right up here on KARE 11 News Now.